As the title says, we are trying to change the conversation from AI talk to AI walk. We picked a couple of projects that would demonstrate how AI is helping in business outcomes. So that's really the focus. But before I go to these two projects, and we'll put a spotlight on these two projects and what they've achieved, by way of economic outcomes. One of our quests always has been in the software industry to transform the art of software development into more of an engineering, industrialized discipline. And we stay at that effort as an ongoing exercise. Way back in the olden days, maybe the first sign of such effort was structured application development. And very soon we called it so sad. Right? Sad versus so. And then not too long after that came rapid application development, RAD, James Martin, and all the different methodologies. And lately it is agile. And very soon we are finding that it's very fragile. and then, of course, the likes of Google talks about fail fast, which is another way of implementing agile. Keep doing it, make a lot of mistakes, but keep innovating. Work on a platform that lends itself to changing and reconfiguration. So what we're going to present has three different aspects to it. So my name is Sridhar Kajipeta. I'm the founder and president of Adunik. Actually, Ballads has a nice joke about it. The word Adunik is a Sanskrit word, and it represents the modernization exercise that we go through in life. So his joke to me was, so you picked an ancient word to talk about modernization. But the point here is that the willingness to modernize, the willingness to question status quo has always been there in our genes. Right from day one, humanity has always been trying to look for better ways. So anyway, that's my company. And currently I'm also the COO and CTO of a company called 70, which is an AI development company. So I'll be talking about the advisory aspect, the methodology aspect, and then 70, which is an example of a project that has AI project that has produced phenomenal results. And then my friend here, who is founder of IntelliB, he's going to talk about a SaaS implementation that they felt it sits on the Salesforce platform, but they wanted to make it available to all the others, not just the Salesforce ecosystem. So they used AI to quickly redevelop it for all the other platforms. So those are the examples. So when we talk about development, we always think of 5 different phases. I call them the 5 Ds. And what I'm saying is, why is there a need to question these 5 Ds? And I'll come to that. And then we'll talk about the 2 projects. So these are the 5 Ds. All of us can relate to them. We start an exercise with discover, which is the ideation phase. Then we develop or define that idea some more. And then we design, and then we develop the system, and then we deploy, and then the cycle continues. It's very easy for us to think of any new development with these 5 phases, whether it's agile, fragile, whatever. End of the day, we take an idea and then go all the way to deployment, and we keep working on it till we get better. But if you look at modern systems, digital systems or AI systems, I always use the example of Uber to talk about this cycle. The number of changes that Uber introduces into their platform on a daily basis by region runs to hundreds. Those many changes they're able to inject into production. Because what happens in Hungary, let alone in the entire country of Hungary, just in the city of Budapest, could be very different from another city where there's an event and they need to have promotions and what have you. So the point of modern software systems, and obviously AI is going to help, is that hyper contextualization to different developing scenarios and your ability to move at speed of business. So you don't develop software for it to last, which is the worst thing to do. You make a car for it to last reasonably longer, but not software. Software is meant to be developed to adapt, and more so with AI-based systems. So what do we need to do to inject into these 5 phases for them to be more AI savvy is what we are going to talk about. Number 1, data centricity of AI systems. Because at the end of the day, AI feeds on data. Whether it is for writing reasons or whether it is for other industrial applications, garbage in, garbage out, or garbage in, hallucinations out, all kinds of things. So data centricity is very critical. And the model is continuously learning so that it can drift. I'm sure all of you heard of model drift. And then the other thing is, when you're developing a model, unlike in traditional software systems, the design that you come up with, don't be under any illusion that the design is going to stay stable. So you're going to get into a constant redesign mode. And explainability. And you are seeing that these days even with general purpose products like ChatGPT and everything. So when it gives an answer, it tells you what is it basing that answer on. So in an enterprise context, we have architecture patterns, and one of them that is very popular, we call it RAG. So it is basically, it grounds everything that it is doing in the context of the enterprise data. So for example, there's a big holiday coming up in the US that people always look forward to for sitting down with family. It's a 4-day holiday, Thanksgiving, which comes always on a Thursday. But the day after Thanksgiving, not every company gives it as a holiday. Some choose to do it the Friday, so that you have 4 days of holidays. So if you have a ChatGPT application in an enterprise that is not well grounded within the enterprise holiday policy, and I ask ChatGPT, hey, is this Friday, the day after Thanksgiving, a holiday? It shouldn't go out in the general domain of what is happening with all the companies and say, yeah, day after Thanksgiving is a holiday. Instead, it should say, it is for this calendar year, for our company, yes, it is a holiday, or no, it is not a holiday. So that is what we mean by well-grounded AI. And it doesn't happen automatically. All of us in the engineering field, we have to implement these RAG systems that are giving you that explainable, well-grounded answer. And obviously, things can get more complicated. RAG is just one basic form of architecture pattern. Lastly, version control. The artifacts that you use to develop AI is complex. You have to version the data that you're using, you have to version the prompts that you're using, you have to version the code, you have to version all the different cloud templates that you're using. So version control becomes even more of an engineering chore than in normal applications. So I tried to map here all the 5 phases, but at the bottom, around 10 different activities that are more AI-centric that we need to not forget about for this 5D development cycle to be complete for AI projects. We also developed an accelerator that we call Genie. So what it does is, if you give it a BRD, and if you don't have a BRD, we will give you a template that in conjunction with AI, you can create a BRD for whatever vision that you have, and AI will go through that and then say, you know what, when I look at your BRD, there are 5 areas that I can think of where AI can help you do a better job. So AI is going to assist you in identifying areas of automation. So that is the first part, the AI genie. The second part, which cuts through the entire life cycle, I'm temporarily naming it as 5D gains, and you see how I worded gains, right? So the idea being, how can AI help in AI development at each of these phases, from discover, define, design, all the way to deploy, and to take care of all these detailed engineering activities, business requirements, data requirements. In fact, with AI, the first thing that you think of besides business requirements is, what data am I going to use? Because that is really the oxygen for AI development. And then it goes on, data preparation, and AI and UI prototyping, and model selection. In fact, Google has a very nice name. You know, they're very agnostic. I mean, even though they have Gemini, they want you to do whatever you want. So they call it model garden. Yeah, go to my garden and pick whatever model you want. It could be open source, it could be proprietary from Google, it could be, and everyone is now following that kind of thinking because they really want AI to succeed, at least at this stage in the game. And data grounding, I just explained why data grounding is so critical, so that your applications are that much more explainable, that much more responsible for the context of the enterprise data. And then evaluation and testing and AI monitoring. Later on in the presentation, I'm going to talk about it. And Ballard, this is something that we can collaborate on. I'm working with a company called AI, which is like MRI for the human body. It actually goes through the AI model and then tells you what path it is traversing, so that you can then adjust. You all heard the term fine-tuning, right? So it'll tell you what is happening with this model when it is working on your data, so you can fine-tune the model where you want to kind of customize it to your needs or produce better results for the data that you're using. And I'll give you an example of some of the issues that we ran into when we tried to apply. So, and then lastly, when you deploy, now you need to make sure that you have AI ops, which is actually, the term came much before than generative AI. It's been around, for the last 7-8 years. So it is AI automating a lot of the operational issues of applications. And then reviews and AI versioning. So that is what I'm calling 5D gains, which is an ongoing effort that will create it into like a platform or a like extension of an IDE, so that all the work that you do for AI development is aided by AI. So now I'll go through these 5Ds and talk about the different activities that you perform, the key deliverables coming out of each of these, but also the list of AI tools that you would want to consider for expediting your discover in this case. So there are tools, again, I won't go through each one of them, but, and we'll share these slides with you. So, and we are experimenting with a lot of them. For example, I'll just pick on each of these phases a couple of examples. I'm sure all of you are using, when you have these Teams calls or Zoom calls, you're using a product like Otter AI. Some people use Reader, whatever. The value you get out of these tools after the meeting, for those who were present, for other team members that you want to share it with, let's say we were having a discover session which is what this slide is all about. And everyone is talking, including the sponsor and the project manager, whatever, and they're all sharing a lot of ideas. It could be a 90-minute call. What was the gist of it that the designer should be worried about? And tools like Otter and Reader, they'll consolidate everything, summarize everything, and then help you quickly make sense of what transpired in these 90-minute meetings. And then that can then quickly drive your story points in your Jira board and what have you. Another revolution, or I didn't mention in my opening comments, that we recently went through, recently meaning 2016, 2017, we were talking about design thinking workshops. I don't know how many of you, so when digital transformation came along, we said, oh, you need a design thinking workshop. What was it? It was basically a fancy way of coming to a meeting with a bunch of stickies, yellow stickies, and then everyone who had an idea, they would write on it, put it on the whiteboard, realign them and everything. Well, we might still need design thinking workshops, but it should be AI powered. And there are tools now that can look at all of this and then make sense of it and then give you, the juice or the real nuggets for you to work with. So that's the whole idea of powering each of these phases with AI tools for us to be more productive, more action-oriented, and focus on insights rather than all the fat that comes with conversations. Then we're going to define. So then now you're looking at tools that help you envision, whether you're doing prototyping or you're using documentation tools like Confluence or Gitbook. Recently, we were experimenting something where we use Figma a lot in this company that I work with. So instead of doing a lot of UI design on the whiteboard and then translating that into a graphical tool, we started playing directly with Figma about different presentation ideas. And then at the end of that, because Figma is now AI enabled, it will generate React code for you that is ready to go. And when Prasad talks, he'll show you some of those examples. And of course, when it comes to design, we tend to think that AI today only helps development, that it can do code generation, code testing, whatever. But in design also, AI can act as an architect. AI can, the technology that I just mentioned about Authentics, it can help you pick the right model during design. And also during UI design, if you're not into things like React, you can use Streamlit, to do your UI generation. So there's a lot that you can benefit from in using AI during design activities also. And then when it comes to development, here is where there's a lot that people can share with each other. It's been heavily used, is this whole AI for code generation, the foundation of which actually came from OpenAI. They call it Codex, and it is really the technology behind Copilot and what have you, and many other variants. We are very successful with one of them called Cursor, and it can sit on top of VS Code, and it's got a lot of plugins and whatnot. Lately, I'm hearing that Windsurf is challenging Cursor. So again, you're constantly trying to keep up with different tools, but we owe it to ourselves at this stage in the game to try everything and then keep this whole platform fairly open so that you can plug into whatever is the latest and greatest. Again, I won't go through all the tools here, but I definitely want to highlight, this is something I want to catch up with you later on, Balaj, is a tool called Best Defense, so that security, your application development is secured by design, called Best Defense, that can do pen testing and everything, but also can, wherever it finds compliance-related breaches, because AI, with all the evolving standards during lunchtime I heard that GDPR is not something that's uniformly implemented in all the different European nations, so each one has their own flavor. So the thing is, you can't catch up with all these evolving standards. So you need a platform to tell you whether you're in violation of any particular local law because you're launching this AI application. So things like best defense, that's just one example. It'll go and look at all these vulnerable areas for breach, and the feature it has is it has got a built-in AI remediation. Or it'll at least raise a ticket if it's a logic-related thing. Hey, buddy, go and so in your ServiceNow system, it'll raise an automatic ticket for you. So something that I wanted to pilot so we can talk about it. And then lastly, for deployment, again, you have all the cloud technologies for Docker and containerization, but also tools like Datadog. Datadog is something that I've had a lot of success for observability and monitoring, and all of them are also getting into AI-related remediation. And Great Expectations is another tool that not many people are aware of when it comes to the data hygiene in AI applications. So as the word Great Expectation says, you write your script in what you expect from your data, and then it then makes it a policy, and then at runtime it checks if your data is compliant with these data expectations that you have. So with that said, we're going to get into two projects which have produced business outcomes. So this session is all about, I said, it's not AI talk, it is AI walk, where AI is generating business outcomes or economic outcomes. So this project that I'm currently the CTO for, this company, is an unusual example of applying AI, not generative AI, deep learning in textile industry or in garment industry. So this company that we work with, they work with schools to design clothing for the athletes. And they came to us to develop a system using AI so that if there is a team of 30 athletes lined up in the gym, the AI system should speed up in terms of taking their measurements, and the accuracy should be above 90%. It should detect different outlier body styles, because not every kid is perfectly shaped. And the measurements should be so accurate that once you pick the style of clothing, the order should be sent to wherever, China, Vietnam, wherever the actual clothing is made. So I'll take you through that journey. So the current system, which was developed in 2018, which was a digital system, meaning we were using mobile application, taking 4 or 5 pictures, and at the end of it, it generated just a 2D picture, and then they were using markers, on the shoulders and what have you, and that's how they were generating the metrics. So that process didn't have an offline mode. It was not easy to use. The accuracy at its peak was only 70%, and the measurements were taking forever. So we looked at deep learning models, and from Meta, from Amazon, and finally we picked the model from Microsoft called Trellis, which was not even a dedicated model for measuring human bodies. It was a general purpose model. It would look at any item, take a couple of pictures, and it could be a piece of furniture, and then it would render a 3D, very accurate 3D diagram that you can spin around and do whatever you want. So after a lot of testing, even though it is not a dedicated system for human body measurements, we found that to be the most reliable. And And it's a model that is live and thriving with the support of Microsoft. There are new versions and whatnot. So let's see what results it produced for us. So at the top, you see the old system. And you see how for each athlete, we were taking more than 2 minutes. And we were getting 70% accuracy after 2 minutes of. With the new system, even though in this picture I'm showing 4, after a lot of prototyping, we decided that what we need are only 2 pictures. The A pose, we call it. The A pose, frontal, and 45 degrees. That's it. Trellis is smart enough to look at those 2 and give you this. And we are automating the whole thing. So using this, we can move the cursor wherever we want. And for example, when you put it on the waist or the hips, it knows the contour, and it gives you an accurate measurement of the body. And in our initial testing, the outliers were the problem. The CEO, she's a lady, she said, well, what about apple-shaped bodies? So we said, okay, give us some so give us some pictures. And then we trained the model on those pictures. And we did some pre-processing and parameter adjusting. We blurred the background so that the human body against the background stands out so that the model can read it properly. And so here are the results. We are able to, scanning time, cut it down to 30, 40 seconds. And we won't use any sliders on the 3D model. We will write post logic to automate that. We can support offline scanning, a whole bunch of things. So this is the outcome of deep learning, in this case, for this example. And they are going to do more business. They're going to keep these athletes happy. And the mothers and the coaches who take the trouble to bring them to the gym, they'll be done in, less than a minute. So a lot of goodness is coming out of this. And the future of this application is you can take this 3D model, and we created a bunch of options digitally available, so they can even try it out on this 3D model. Okay, if I pick this, how does it look on my body? And with all they call it bursting, with all the glittery stuff, everything. And it'll drape it on this model like how it would be in real life. So that is an example of the outcomes that, in this case, deep learning has given us. And we just signed a contract. This is all of it was under the banner of POC, proof of concept, which was a paid POC. And now we are getting into the implementation. So with that, I'll hand it over to Prasad, who will talk about a SaaS application and how AI helped them to migrate.
Thank you, Sridhar. And thanks, Palastu. Thanks for inviting us here. So how many are in the technology space? So I don't want to bore you guys here. So I know some of your policy, some of your academicians, how many of your actual IT technology? Looks like none. So I see one hand there. I know Johan here. So it's coincidental. 3 of us were driving in a car. It so happened all 3 of us worked in one company in the past. How coincidental it is. Can you click on the slides, please? IntelliBee. So as Sridhar gave a prior intro, so we are a Salesforce partner, and we have been working on a lot of products, and we have a lot of products that are hosted on the App Exchange. So I don't know how many of you are used Salesforce in the past. Looks like not many. So one here, very nice. So if you have any problems, come to us. the next deck. So we are a company based out of Detroit, Michigan, and as I said, like we are a partner of Salesforce, and a lot of our projects and products are hosted on Salesforce too. And some other things, we are Inc. 5,000 fastest growing companies in the last 3 years, and I've been awarded as nominated for E&Y Entrepreneur of the Year, finalist last year. Hopefully, I'll make it to the list. And of course, we have a lot of certifications. I'll move on. So just to give a quick background, we have this product called Intelli HRMS. It helps companies in recruiting, HR, timekeeping, project management, things like that. And if you are a Salesforce customer, the base license is already included, so you don't need to pay extra. And if you're not a Salesforce customer, obviously you have to pay for the extra for the licenses. So it is becoming expensive for some of the customers we approach. So what we decided to do is host the HRMS product parallelly on a different product. It could be like Azure, AWS, Google, whatever it is, right? And so that, the customers don't need to pay the additional SaaS licenses. So we used AI, and I'll show you how fast we picked up on this one. So it helped us in terms of architecture, in terms of UI, database, backend, and in terms of architecture, I just wanted to let you know this ChatGPT is an honorary architect, DBA, UI developer, and a senior developer too. So basically, we could transform the whole code, now without boring all of you, right? In about a matter of 2.5 months, we could have taken a lot of people, this kind of a product, usually about anywhere between six months to 1 year, with a team of about 10 people. That's what we develop our Salesforce product. But here, it just took us hardly, 1.5 person. In about 2.5 months, we transformed the whole code. And I'll just go through some of the technical details, because I know some of you are not technical here, so I don't want to bore you here. So definitely just you take the prompt, and through prompt-based engineering, we're able to accelerate the architecture. So that's what Sridhar was saying. You don't need an architect anymore. So this was, of course, in this case, we already have a product, so it's easy for the application to see and transform. And for UI, we just need to do the design and also the code generation, almost, I would say, 90% accurate. And it gives you the actually, I'll show you some examples here. So it just gives some prompts, and the whole UI is generated very, very fast, right? So that's where you can eliminate. And of course, we consider other popular tool too, like Bolt and Lovable. So Bolt actually generates production-ready React and V code, and Lovable is more for mockups. And when it comes to Gemini, I think where AI is taking us, right? So now you're actually giving prompts, and it gives you the product. So now Gemini is making you a little bit more lazier. You don't need to give prompts, you just talk to it. So I'll just show an example here. So basically what the developer is doing, he's actually sharing his code and actually talking to Gemini. And it is giving you feedback and how to incorporate the changes, right? So what I was trying to say is, like, in the past, you have to give the prompts. So it has even taken away that too. Now you talk to Gemini, and it gives you all the results, right? And also, if you want to generate code on the tablets, or if you want to do it on mobile, it can just like that very quickly make the changes. And similarly create database schemes. And then from a database to another, it's all fast and backend. And typically, there are multiple models, like Sridhar said. And of course, this particular cursor is actually helping you to choose whatever models automatically do. So even that, the cursor made it easy. And backend transactions, like we have a need where we want to parse the resume and get the data of the resume. So once again, in the legacy world, it used to take good 3 to 6 months. The whole resume parsing, we used OpenAI. And using OpenAI, GPT-5, and also Cloud APIs, we could do it in 2 days. So that's the speed in which you can develop a code today. Of course, it is scary. It's going to take a lot of jobs. And then I just want to summarize. Right? So we migrated about 70%, because it's not 100% done yet. 70% of the code, we created about 70 pages, about 500,000 lines of code in the React type, and about 1 million lines in the C and .NET area. We created about 25 tables and close to about 1444 fields in just a matter of about 2 months, and with one developer, one and a half developers, right? And about 75% of overall project savings. So instead of having so much a big team, we could do it in a very short period, right? Any questions? Did you work for TCS too?
No, I got an offer from TCS, but I rejected it. And I work for Bosch. So basically, I did a lot of writing code for automotive technologies. And the problem what I'm seeing with all these AI-generated code, or you said that 70% of your code has been migrated, is with 2 people. If there is a problem in this code, who's going to maintain the code? Who's going to debug the code? How do you even know where to start looking? Because it's all AI generated. Nobody knows where things are. And the moment, as long as everything goes fine, you are fine. But the moment airbags don't deploy on time, no one knows where to even start looking into. So the code maintenance and code debugging, and there's just no verification flow. And hence, I'm just curious what are your opinions around it?
Actually, very good question. I just want to show, some of these slides are actually generated by AI too, right? But it is not human ready yet. You got a good question, especially you have to go through a lot of iterations to make it ready for this presentation. So we thought we can do it very quickly. In fact, we spent more than 2 weeks now to get to this state, right? And my son, who happens to go to University of Michigan, he said, "No, what the heck is this? I don't understand." So he has to take some time to modify it. But you have a valid question there. So who is going to maintain? At least as of now, it is working fine. But we have to get to that stage where what happens to the production ready and deploy, how to debug and all that. It is able to do some of the testing, but we have to see that. I'll give it on to Sridhar. Yeah.
No, that's where the broader question of human in the loop comes in. Yeah. So what is happening with software development is we have been using this term pizza teams lately. So pizza teams meaning a team of around 8-9 people working on a user story or even an epic. There is a product owner, there's a subject matter expert, there's a technical architect, the senior developer, developers, and testers. That size is going to shrink to the tune of at least 40%. But what would happen is the technical architect and the senior developers, they are the humans in the loop. So they will look at this productivity that they are gaining and look at all the code. And in fact, you don't need to let AI run amok. You can actually give it a template that you would consider as your application coding standard. And then whatever heavy lifting it is doing, it will do it per your instructions. So by doing that, you're automatically making AI behave and still add productivity. Where it adds productivity, what you would have wasted 2-3 days trying to look at some API syntax or a JSON file structure, whatever, all of that can be easily automated. Or something new came up and the developer doesn't have the aptitude to find it out. Otherwise, he would go call a senior architect. Well, the senior architect is in a different time zone. AI can play. So there are so many gains but you have to responsibly use it.
The interesting part for me is that you and me are capable of using these AI tools.
Yeah,
but the problem is the entry-level jobs, the entry-level everything is in
but that's
a
the governance.
big
That's the AI-related governance we have to put in place.
And okay.
Yeah.
First of all, you should have accepted the Tata offering. Secondly,
That's a good.
secondly, I'm joking, of course. The thing is that this question is a very good question because the German automotive industry has been asking themselves exactly that question. And of course, you do know Catena X, the data platform for the German automotive industry. And funnily enough, we have been helping them to a basic understanding of what standard really means. So to have a sort of a platform that learns what a standard is, how it is applied, and who does not differentiate anymore if it was human-generated code or if it was machine-generated code. But it understands the purpose of what the application shall do and shall not do. And especially when it comes to security-related functions, of course, lives are depending on it. So you want this bulletproof. And this is exactly where you made, which I believe the right points, is the human control in the end of the day, but to have clear and understandable standards that you adhere to in order to make it testable, to make the functionality bulletproof, and to make sure that you don't have prosaic surprises in your code base that develop a very own little civilization on their own once left alone. But that is exactly the point. So let me emphasize again, standardization has gotten a totally different emphasis now than it ever had before.
In fact, you can use it to solve a lot of the problems with conventional application development. You know, one of the big problems with conventional application development, nobody documents anything. Well, AI can document it for you. And also M&A activity, when companies buy companies, they are no longer held hostage to the acquired company and all the intellectual capital that only sits in people's brains, because for them it is job security. Well, you can make AI go through all the code that they developed and translate that into English. So there are so many things that you can do with AI, and it's all happening, but all it requires is thoughtful use, responsible use, ethical use, and also, whether we like it or not, white-collar jobs are going to shrink. How do we do it in a manner that it's not hurting people and it is helping you redeploy them in areas where they could otherwise contribute?
Actually, I just want to play this video just to give the same example, right? How AI is able to fix the bugs with Gemini. Can you play the video? Yeah. Yeah. You can play that. You can't play the audio, right?
Hey Gemini, can you see my screen?
It looks like you're working on a coding project. I see a file called joblist.tsx open in your editor. Is there something specific you're working on related to this file?
Yes, in this file, so these jobs list are basically sorted by jobs ID. Now, what I want to do is I would like to sort based on the job posted date. So can you help me with this logic, and can you please find the errors where I'm facing to run this application, and please help me to fix this?
Okay, I can help with that. It looks like the code is currently sorting the jobs based on the job ID. To sort by the posted date, we'll need to adjust the sorting logic a bit. Can you tell me if the job posted date field is formatted as a string or a date type?
It's a date type.
Okay, great. Since the dates are already date type objects, we can directly compare them in the sort function. I'll make the necessary.
I'll pass it here. I think you got the answer right. So it can fix for you too. Yeah, but one thing it has generated, right? So very structured code too, unlike typical humans developing it, and you have to train the people how to use standards and all that. This is taking care of all that. So that's meant by the extensive savings we gained using AI. Thank you so much.